Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, I got just a couple of little things I gotta do today, and let's run through them here, and I want to tell you what it is. First off, from my perspective, today is March 15th, so in the United States, we're about 1 month away from tax day. So I want to get my taxes over to my tax guy this year, do that today, and get that going so that when April 15th comes around, we're ready for that. Now, I'm expecting it should be a lot simpler this time because, you know, unlike last year where I had not only federal income taxes to deal with, I also had California state income taxes to deal with, and that just under normal circumstances is complicated. But when you factor in the fact that you have, you know, a house sale and all that, that really complicated things last year. And none of that is going to be going on this year. I don't have a state income tax because Texas doesn't have a state income tax, and there's nothing weird on my federal income tax. It's just going to be the income from the vlog and the income from the job. So I'm hoping this will be a lot less complicated. There's going to be no real deductions I have to deal with. Yeah, I'm going to try and write off moving expenses. You know, when I moved into the house, I think I can do that. I have a couple of restaurant vlogs that I did at the beginning of the year that I'm going to try and write off. But other than that, it should be real simple. So I want to get that over there today. And I'm also hoping that it's going to be a little easier dealing with them than it was last year. This is a company that really went overboard paranoid when it came to the coronavirus, which was just really warming up about this time last year. And they were just over the top concerned about that. To the point where I literally thought when I walked into the lobby to give them my taxes, they were going to pull a gun on me. You know, that's how weird it was. But we know a lot more about it, and I ought to be able to just get in and do my thing with a mask now and not have to worry that much about that. So hopefully it'll be a little less complicated this year in terms of doing that. Also, it's a really nice day out today. Right now it's about 66. The sun is out. There's not a cloud in the sky. Got a nice little breeze coming in off the ocean. And so I've decided I want to bring the seedlings out and let them enjoy a full day out in the sun. One of my viewers has commented a couple times that I should let them have a little experience with getting a little breeze, because he says that will make the stems and the stalks a little bit, a little tougher so that they're ready to go out here full time. So like I said, it's a nice day out. I want to move them out into the yard and just let them have a nice day in the sun. So I want to do that. And in addition to that, I've also had a little bit of a problem with this camera. This camera records all the video on an SD card, and I've been using the same SD card basically since I bought the camera a little over a year ago. And I know sometimes SD cards kind of wear out over time. So what I want to do also is run over to Best Buy and buy a backup one. I don't think I really need it right now, but I want to have one here at the house so that if something goes wrong with this card, we'll be ready for it. So that's kind of what I want to do today. So I think the first thing I want to do is I want to get those seedlings out, and I'm actually going to put them in the planter. Just going to set them on the ground in the planter because that's ultimately where they're going to live at the end. So let's get going with that. So there we go. We got the plants outside. They're going to enjoy the sun today. I'll bring them back in tonight just to kind of protect them, just in case it gets a little bit cold out tonight. I don't think it'll get that cold. I was actually out wandering around last night about 11 o'clock, and it only got like into the 50s, so it was actually really comfortable out. But this is going to be a nice day for these to be out and get a little sunshine, and we may actually bring them out again tomorrow and let them get a little bit more sun, because tomorrow is also supposed to be a nice day. Not quite as warm as today, but they're talking about like 78, so that's still a nice day. It'll be a little cooler than it is today, but it'll still be good for the plant. It's good for them to get a little fresh air and get a little sunshine. So this should do good for them. And as you can see, they're all looking pretty good. They're all pretty healthy. So the ones here, these are my jalapenos, and then those are gonna be my tomatoes there. So they're all doing real good, and we're gonna have a nice little garden this year. Looking forward to it. All right, I'm back from the Taxman. I've also been to Best Buy. The Taxman situation was a little better this time. Like I said, I think they're a little bit more comfortable with what's going on with all this COVID stuff. And just basically was just able to walk in there. As long as I had a mask, nobody really freaked out. Like I said, it was a weird situation when I went in there last year. So got that underway. Hopefully I'll hear something in a couple weeks from him and get all that stuff taken care of. Like I said before, this should be a lot more simple this time, because there's not all the weirdness this time. There's not the California taxes, there's not the house sale to process. It's just regular income, and it should go pretty quick. So I got that done. I also went out to Best Buy, found a couple of new SD cards for the camera, so I want to get those into the camera and get them formatted and figure out what's going on there. I think what I'm going to do probably for the rest of the day is I want to kind of wander around the yard a little bit and get a better idea of what this deep freeze we had a couple weeks ago did to the yard. I was actually out in the front a little bit yesterday and noticed that well, some of the plants definitely look like they're dying. Others are actually starting to bounce back. So I think what I want to do is cut some of the stuff back that looks like it's maybe going to survive, and then we can kind of play it by ear and see what happens. See, this is all just popped in the last few days here. So this tree is definitely starting to prepare to bud out and leaf out again. So that's good news for that. This thing down here looks pretty sad, but honestly, you look down here on the bottom and there are some green leaves down there. So I think if I cut some of these top branches off here, some of the stuff that clearly has all the dead stuff on it, this might bounce back too. And then of course this is the same species here, and that's starting to look good too. So I don't know, we're gonna have to play it by ear. And the palm trees, they don't look very happy right now, but I think what I'm going to do there, those things are pretty rugged and pretty hardy, so I think I'm going to try just cutting the branches off of those, and let's see what happens. I'm not ready to give up on these yet. These may still survive. We'll just have to wait and see, but obviously the branches that are here are dead, so we're going to cut those off and kind of give it as much chance as we can to hopefully let that thing recover. And this is a tree that's been dropping all the leaves into the pool lately, and even here I'm starting to see a little green bud action happening there. So even though all the old leaves haven't fallen off yet, it looks like it's starting to get ready for the next season. So this thing definitely survived. It definitely looks like that, so that's good news. Everything in here looks really harsh, so I think I'm going to cut all this back really, really hard, and let's see if this comes back. Like I said, I'm not totally concerned about if I lose this. I was never really that impressed with the stuff they had in here anyway, so if this all died, this just gives me an opportunity to pull it out and kind of start fresh. Likewise with this thing here, but even looking here, get deep down here, there's still a little bit of green in there, so I don't know, maybe if we cut some of the dead branches off this will come back too. There's another one over here. I do see a little green in there, so I don't know, maybe not. Now this is kind of a funny story here. This is actually in the front yard, and this is something I planted after we dug the hole and trenched under the house to replace the sewer line. They had to rip out the couple of plants that were here, and so I replaced it with these Texas lilacs, and I thought for sure they died, but they definitely appear to be coming back. So I don't know, maybe that's just something, these just kind of die off in the winter, but they're starting to look decent now. So maybe they're going to survive too. That's kind of nice. And this is a big shrub that was in front of the house also. And I thought for sure I lost that, but there's all sorts of new life coming up on this thing. So maybe this is going to survive too. I don't know. Texas plants are maybe a little bit more hardy than you would expect. This is another one that looked kind of harsh a few weeks ago, but look at all the budding action that's going on here. And all those new green leaves, so that one's going to survive, it looks like. That's good news. Now this one looks pretty harsh, and it's not doing very well, and I don't know if this one will make it, but we'll wait and kind of see what happens. We'll give this a few months, see what happens, but this one next to it, I'm seeing some new action, some new budding action happening here too, so maybe this is going to survive. Interesting, huh? It's weird how one plant seems to handle it all right, and another one doesn't. And my ferns look pretty sad, but they may bounce back too. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. But I do think I'm going to go out and do some trimming and kind of trim off as much of the dead stuff as I can, just to give it as much of a chance as possible. So that's probably, I think, what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. So I'll catch up with you in a little bit. So it's interesting, just a little while ago I kind of went through here and I kind of wrote off this whole section as all dead. But it's interesting, when you actually cut some of the stuff back, there is signs of life under here. Maybe this stuff is coming back. So, like I said, I didn't want to uproot all of it. But even in here I'm seeing little bits and signs of life. There's little green twigs on the side of some of these branches. So maybe what needed to happen is we just needed to cut things back a lot and see what happens. See, here's a little bit more life going on in here. This was something, like I said, it looked completely dead a little bit ago, but you cut some of the dead branches off, and yeah, I don't know, this stuff might bounce back. We'll see. Alright, so I've cut these way back and kind of cleaned up around them. We'll see what happens with them now. Like I said, they look pretty horrible on the outside, but most of that came off, and hopefully these will come back too. Like I said, I'm encouraged by some of what I am seeing over here, so maybe, you know, these things aren't written off yet. I don't know, it's just gonna be a wait and see kind of thing. I also spent a little time over here. This was a footpath that went kind of over from the pump and the controller for the pool sweep over to where the skimmer basket is, and these stones were just kind of sitting on the surface, and what ended up happening is I kept hitting them with a lawnmower. And that's not good for the blade, that's not good for the lawnmower. So I kind of dug them into the ground a little bit so that they're a little bit more flush with the ground. So I ought to be able to just go over them now with a lawnmower without having any further problems. It'll take a little time for the dirt to settle, but I think that's going to help a little bit. And then of course I went over here with the bagger attachment and kind of cleaned up some of the mess here. So I don't know, we got to do a little bit more out here. I got to clean up some leaves over here, but for the most part this should be winding down, because this is a tree that's dropping all the leaves, and as you can see, most of the leaves are gone now. So maybe this will be the last time I have to do this season, hopefully. Note to self, I'm going to probably want to replace this water valve here at some point. It doesn't look like it's holding water very well. Alright, so a few hours have passed and I got a lot done today, so I'm happy with that. We did a little bit of specific watering in some of the areas around the plants, and let's just see what we're going to get to bounce back. I'm actually more encouraged right now that some of this stuff is going to survive, so we're just going to give it all a little bit of a chance to see what happens. But like I said, things are looking up, so we'll see what happens and play it by ear. And I think that's all that I have for today. So thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.